Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to my favorite kind of video, my rants. Today we are going to be going over the biggest purchase in Funko Pop history. Something that is talked about, and albeit I am always behind on everything, but I did this interview with the man who bought it last week. So I wanted to make sure that I got this video up, but we are going to be talking about the $100,000 purchase of the Willy Wonka 2-pack with golden ticket. So I'm gonna talk a little bit and then we're gonna get into the actual interview part. But this video is going to be more along the financial side of that. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that. So feel free to not watch this video. I'll give you a minute. Before we get started, as usual, if you like these kinds of videos, be sure to smash that like button and drop a comment. Let me know what you thought. Now, in case you haven't heard, recently Frank bought the Willy Wonka 2-pack with golden ticket for $100,000. Yes, that is a lot of money. Now, that 2-pack is a 10-piece. And if that's not rare enough, there were only 4 of them that were given the golden ticket. Now, rumor has it that 2 of those were thrown away, so there could possibly only be 2 in existence, and Frank currently has the only one known. That makes this both the rarest Funko Pop and the most expensive one. Now, what's even more important and much more of an impact than the actual sale itself is that PPG registered this private sale. So it now counts towards the PPG value of the 2-pack. And if you don't know why that's relevant, a lot of the complaints towards PPG is that value for these older, rarer pops is garbage, pretty much. It's really off because they can't normally account for private sales. They're not in everybody's messages, you know, talking to all these people, and not everybody will reach out and say, hey, I bought this really expensive pop for this much. Here's the value. So now I'm not going to talk about whether or not the purchase that Frank made was a good decision or a bad decision. I honestly don't know. And despite what everybody is saying or everybody thinks, nobody knows the future. Nobody can see the future. So the most important part is that he felt it was necessary. It was worth it to him to spend that amount on a 2-pack. Now, what I did want to discuss was, will this impact the value of other rarer pops, and what, if anything, does this mean for the future of high-end Funko Pops? Now, I say high-end because truthfully, this won't do anything for average price pops, and probably not do anything for grails that you see every day. I highly doubt any of that will be impacted by this much at all. As for very rare, limited count pieces, this could be impactful in 2 different ways. One, people that have them will most likely be asking more, or be more likely to not sell right away to see what the market does. And 2, investors in other forms of collectibles might take interest in Funko. Now, the first one is sure going to happen, and Frank even, talks about it happening to himself. And this is just kind of common sense. People with older, rarer pops are going to hold on to them to see what the market does. If you own a rarer pop, you're probably going to use this sale to see if you can get more for it, or you might hold on to this and say, hey, this is a 12-piece, let me just hold it and see what it does in the future and see how the market reacts. The second one is interesting depending on who you are and how you look at it. If the whale investors come over from TCGs and comics and start buying up all of the rare limited piece pops on the market, then it'll make it impossible for regular people to get them, and it'll drive the price up a lot. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because having those investors interested in the hobby will bring smaller investors that will help keep prices of regular grails steady. For the long term, of Funko Pops, I think that this sale could be a good thing. And I know everyone won't see it that way, and that's okay because everybody's entitled to their opinion. Last thing before I bring on Frank, one thing that can really impact prices is if HobbyDB, aka PPG, starts to record more private sales. Now, this might require some work, and I don't know if at all possible, and I will have Christian on soon to discuss that. But if it does, you will start to see the prices of grails begin to rise. Okay, so now we are going to bring on Frank, and we're going to go through some questions. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let me know what you think. I want to welcome Frank, aka Grail Monster, if some of you guys know him, but he's the gentleman that purchased the $100,000 Willy Wonka Funko Pop, or two-pack, rather. Before we get into this and these questions, I just want to issue a trigger warning because we are going to be talking about the value of Funko Pops, and for some people, that is a four-letter word. So I will give everybody a second to skip ahead. So I'm going to start with an easy question, which is, why this piece? What made you hunt this particular one down?
Yeah, it's just something about the scarcity of it. It's essentially a one of one. I don't know of any other ones that had the ticket with them, and the ticket was a big part of it for me. So I just really wanted something that was as coveted as this, and I just genuinely liked the two-pack. I don't have any other pops that are two-packs. Growing up, Willy Wonka was like one of my favorite movies. It was just like it was multifaceted, for me. I just, through all my hunting, I haven't found anyone that had, a golden ticket two-pack with the ticket until I met the seller of this one, and it was just like when he told me he had it, I was like, all right, like I'm getting this thing. I think I told him that. I said, I'm getting this thing one way or the other. So either we just do it now or we do it a year from now, but like one way or the other, I'm getting it. So. It just became like a personal thing for me, where I just needed this thing.
So with this piece that is obviously super rare, where there's no guides, no comps on eBay or anywhere really, how did you guys come up with 100,000 as the number?
I had heard that he wasn't selling at all. A buddy of mine told me he's not going to sell, and I said, he's going to sell. Like, I'm going to make him sell. So I hit him up and I said, like, what do you want for it? And he said, the lowest I would go is 100. And I said, how about 75? And he said, absolutely not. And I just kind of sat on it for a little while. I sat on it for a little while because 100 grand for a pop is a lot, obviously. My buddy Nick hit me up and he said, think about it like this. There's still Beanie Babies that are worth $500,000. Like, the rarest of any collectible always ends up being worth more than 100 grand. So the next day I hit up the seller and I said, hey, like, I'm down, let's do it. So it wasn't something like, I wasn't planning on spending 100 grand. I really wasn't. I wanted to spend significantly less, like, as obviously.
What was the price in your head? Like, when you were going to ask him about it, what popped in your head?
Somewhere between 50 and 60. But he had gotten offers for more than that. Like, I know people who have offered him more than 60 for it. So I knew that right out the gate, 60 probably wasn't going to be, I guess.
Did you happen to prearrange anything with HobbyDB to have your sale recorded on, like, as an official PPG sale?
Yes and no. I offered to fly one of them out here. One of the people that work over there who I know. I said, hey, I want this sale to be verified. I'll fly, if you have anyone that from, that works with you guys, I'll fly you guys out here. You guys can be there for the transaction. I want the sale verified. Because up until this point in PPG, the golden ticket was $0. And I was like, I'm not spending 100 grand on something that you guys are going to value at $0. Like, if I'll fly you guys out, whatever you guys want to do. They couldn't make it out. And that was when I decided to film. I was like, okay, like, if I film this, what do you guys need in this video to verify the sale? And they gave me like a list of things that they needed. I filmed it, and it met their qualification.
Okay. How do you think a sale like this will impact the rare pop market?
I don't know, but I do know that I'm looking for an 18-piece Mickey Grail right now, and I hit up a guy who owns it, and he didn't know that I had bought the golden ticket, and he said to me, "A golden ticket just sold for 100 grand, so I'm going to hold on to this thing." So,
You didn't
so
tell him?
I actually hurt myself in that way, but yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have. I think it's pretty. I don't know. I don't know, but I hope that it doesn't hurt the market. I hope it helps it. I do consider the market when I buy stuff like this and post videos about it. But I think a consideration of the market doesn't necessarily mean that I'm trying to manipulate it in any way. I'm aware that a big sale like this can affect the market. I don't know how it's going to. I don't know if it will definitively, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, one way or the other.
I think short term, just like you had mentioned, when he had decided, he saw that, decided to kind of hold it. I think that's kind of going to be the short term process where people are kind of like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
that sold for this. Okay, well, I'll hold mine back for a little bit. I don't know what the long term is. I can't see the future either, unfortunately. But so this is kind of, I guess, coming off more of an opinion. But do you think this kind of sale is what starts to attract the larger, like, whale investors to Funko?
I don't know. I hope so. Uh, I hope so. There's definitely a purist, loyalist aspect to a lot of collectors where they don't want those people coming into the sector. But um, I don't see why more money coming into collectibles in general is a bad thing.
That's why we issued a trigger warning.
Yeah, I don't think Funko's at the point yet where, like, like Logan Paul's rocking a Pokemon card on his neck at WrestleMania. I don't think, it hasn't reached that level, that stratosphere yet. I'm betting 100 grand that it does reach that level, but I don't know if this helps get it there. I like to think that it does. I mean, I'm not really sure. I love having this thing. Like, I genuinely love having the golden ticket 2-pack. So even aside from the finance side of it, it's like I've already made my money's worth. I look at it every day. It's something I genuinely enjoy having. So even if worse came to worse and the market tanked and I lost a lot of money on it, it's like I tend to think that I made my money's worth just in the experience and just having it, because I genuinely enjoy having it.
I mean, I think that's pretty much what collecting is supposed to be about, is you're collecting things that genuinely make you happy. And I mean, I'm kind of behind. If you have the money and you want to spend it, and like, this is something that you really want, this is something obviously you cherish very much. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
Money is different to a lot of people.
For sure. And the argument, and I obviously agree with that, but the argument against what you just said is that Frank overpaid. He paid greater than market value for something, either to influence the market or to have some kind of effect on the market as a whole. And for me,
I mean, there was no price on the market for this.
It's a one of one. There's no history of this thing really selling. So, like, what is the market value? And not just that, but like, I don't have a lot of time. I have more money than time right now. And like, for me, time is literally money. And like, I don't want to spend a whole year, which is what it takes sometimes with these pops. Like, it takes a whole year of hunting them down, negotiating the price, and then hoping the seller even sells. And then when he does decide to sell, hoping it's at a reasonable price. For me, it's like, I don't want to go down that path with something that's this rare. It's like, it can take me a year or two to find it. And it's like, either I go to the seller that I bought this from, and he says 100 grand, and I give him 100 grand, or I spend a year and 100 grand of my time hunting it down, and then hoping that the seller even wants to sell when I find him.
I mean, all of that means something different to everybody. I still do occasionally, but I used to do a lot of whatnot auctions, and I would have a ton of different pieces that would go double, triple, I mean, ridiculously over what the market says that it's worth.
Yeah.
And it's only because that person's there, they see it, they want it bad enough to overpay according to market. Again, your situation is a little bit different because there was no market for this, but people overpay, if that's what you want to call it, for things that they want
For sure.
badly enough all the time.
But there's some major collectors that don't get it. And I respect their opinions. I don't agree with them, but
Anything that disrupts the market freaks
Yeah.
people out.
I think I'm the enemy, you know, like I am the enemy. I'm the one that's coming in here and just stomping all over the sacred ground of Funko Pop collecting in some way. But I don't understand how they come to that conclusion rationally. But I try to respect it regardless. Yeah.
Until they're able to sell one of their 500 pieces for triple what it's worth now.
Yeah.
People will stop.
That's what I keep saying. But
Actually, though, I'm glad we were talking about limited pieces, because that kind of brings me into the Funko NFT world, where I feel like that was a very smart move on Funko's part, where they attached the physical pop to certain limited number, and if you get it, you cash it in. And I think that's, what do you think about that? Do you think that's kind of like the future of
I wouldn't know
Funko?
an NFT. I wouldn't know an NFT if it was like sitting on my desk. Like I don't know anything about NFTs. I do know that people are going crazy about the Funko NFT line. And I think I mean, I think there has to be a way to either transition or to tie in the real world to the NFT world. And I think that they're doing it in a really creative way. I'm surprised comics haven't done that more. Or maybe they have. I'm not really in the comic world, but I personally enjoy Pops because I feel like they're real life NFTs. Like I like being able to hold something. I stare at my computer all day for work. Like, coming home and being able to like hold something that I've collected is kind of cool. But no, I think they're doing it the right way, because I think it hits both audiences. It hits the traditional purist pop collector, but also hits the new age NFT collector as well.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this type of video. I know that it was a little different than what I normally do, but again, don't forget to hit that like button. If you enjoy these types of videos, drop a comment, let me know what you thought. And as usual, there's no negativity here. Be nice or be deleted. But if you do like these types of videos and you want to see me talk more about stuff like this, I will link my NFT video right up here. You can go ahead and click that. And that's pretty much all I have for today. But I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on Friday.